The Israel-Iran war, now in its 10th day, has reached a defining moment, with Iran's once defiant regime facing imminent collapse under the weight of Israel's relentless military campaign. In my initial videos, I highlighted that within just 2 days, the trajectory of this conflict became clear, and now the world stands witness to Iran's unraveling. Calls for a ceasefire are growing louder, with America, European nations, and others urging an end to the violence. Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi declared, "We are ready to sign and agree to a ceasefire in any way possible," while Israel remains steadfast. You might recall Trump's early call for cooperation, followed by a stark 2-week ultimatum for Iran's complete surrender. The events that followed, as I've covered before, have brought us to this critical juncture. Today, I'll unpack Iran's military defeat, the regime's desperate maneuvers, and the profound global implications of this seismic conflict. Reports indicate Iran's leadership is fleeing to Oman, a desperate bid to escape the chaos engulfing Tehran. Drawing from credible sources like The Guardian International, known for its 90–95% neutral reporting, the headline, "Lack of Firepower, Iran is Losing the War," captures Iran's dire situation. This outlet's credibility stems from its fact-based analysis, unlike some Indian media outlets that spread false narratives to appease certain groups. I subscribe to international news feeds, and what they reveal often contradicts local reports. The truth is stark. Iran's military is crumbling, unable to sustain the war it provoked. Early in the conflict, Iran's missiles did strike Israel, killing around 28 people over 10 days, including civilians in schools and hospitals. But claims that Israel is burning are baseless. Israeli channels broadcast live 24/7, showing citizens resuming normal life, retreating to bunkers only when sirens blare. This transparency contrasts sharply with Iran's opacity, where the regime conceals its failures. Iran's war effort is failing on multiple fronts. Its offensive capabilities are depleted, with missile launches dropping significantly. Over 10 days, Iran fired around 450 missiles, long-range, hypersonic, and supersonic. But in the last 2 days, as I noted earlier, the numbers have dwindled. Why? Iran's stockpiles are nearly exhausted. Initially, Israel struggled to intercept many missiles, but recent days have seen interception rates soar from 40% to 80–90%. This morning, Saturday, Iran launched missiles, but no casualties were reported as of now when I recorded this. Iran's firepower is fading, reduced to random, ineffective strikes. Global analysts, often outdated in their approach, fail to grasp this shift. This isn't old-school warfare. New technology and strategies have rewritten the rules. Israel's ability to strike Iran's religious and strategic sites from 1,500–2,000 kilometers away has revolutionized modern conflict, exposing Iran's vulnerabilities. The international media's narrative has flipped. 2 days ago, outlets hyped Iran's missile strikes and Israel's early interception failures. Now, reports from The Guardian and others confirm Iran's missile launches are waning and Israel's defenses are dominating. Iran's missile launch systems, which I noted were 30% operational 2 days ago, are now 50–60% destroyed by Israel's Air Force. In 2 or 3 days, Iran may be unable to fire any missiles, all of which will be intercepted. This is why I predict Iran's full surrender within 3 or 4 days. Their military defense has collapsed, a fact underscored by The Economist's war correspondent, who reported that Iran's missile regiment's senior officers have been targeted, leaving the command structure in disarray. Without experienced leaders, analysts, and scientists who will guide this war, neither Khamenei nor Masoud Pezeshkian can fill the void left by seasoned military strategists. Inexperienced replacements cannot sustain a war effort, rendering Iran's firepower useless as its equipment is systematically destroyed. Israel escalated its campaign this morning, striking Iran's nuclear facilities again. According to Israel's Defense Ministry website, these attacks have set Iran's nuclear weapons program back by 3.5 to 4 years. Israel's statements are reliable, rooted in its democratic accountability and commitment to transparency. Unlike Iran, where corruption permeates the regime, Israel's military operates with precision and public trust. Compare Iran's floundering effort to Hamas, who, despite their extremism, fought fiercely until defeated. Iran, however, is barely fighting. Its missiles are unreliable. Some explode mid-air, others fail at launch, reflecting decades of mismanagement and corruption that have hollowed out its military. This corruption, coupled with international sanctions, has left Iran ill-equipped to face a technologically superior foe like Israel. The media landscape tells a similar story of Iran's decline. Al Jazeera, once vocally pro-Iran, has fallen silent, while other outlets have shifted focus to Gaza. The war has slipped from Iran's grasp, and even its propaganda can't mask the truth. In India, some media outlets distort facts to cater to specific audiences, but the reality is clear. Israel is a key ally, sharing strong diplomatic and economic ties with India. Jerusalem holds deep spiritual significance for Christians, akin to Mecca for Muslims, and Israel is home to many Indian workers, much like the Gulf. International media, unlike some Indian reports, rely on real-time data from war zones, not speculation. I invest in subscriptions to global weeklies and dailies because truth isn't free. Their fact-based analysis cuts through the propaganda plaguing local narratives, exposing the lies spread to appease extremists. Iran's isolation is stark. Russia and China, former allies, remain silent, prioritizing economic ties with Sunni-majority Gulf states like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, who view Iran as a regional threat. No Islamic nation, including Pakistan, openly backs Iran, leaving it diplomatically stranded. The regime's move to Oman signals its fear of collapse, with leaders like Khamenei seeking refuge in a neutral mediator state. But Oman's limited influence, its ceasefire proposal was ignored by America, offers little protection. Iran's economy, battered by decades of sanctions, cannot sustain this war. Ordinary Iranians face soaring unemployment, inflation, and shortages, bearing the brunt of their leaders' failures. The regime's ban on social media and internet access reflects its desperation to suppress dissent as citizens turn against a government that has led them to ruin. For Indian workers in the Gulf, particularly in the UAE and Saudi Arabia, this conflict poses significant risks. Iran's desperation could spark erratic attacks on U.S. allied nations, destabilizing economic hubs where millions of Indians work, sending vital remittances home. The Gulf supplies much of India's oil, and disruptions could trigger global price spikes, threatening India's energy security. India's government has urged its citizens in the region to stay vigilant, reflecting the conflict's potential to ripple beyond Iran. The Middle East stands at a crossroads, with Iran's 46-year theocratic regime teetering on the edge. Israel's destruction of Iran's missile and nuclear capabilities, combined with the loss of its military leadership, has paved the way for a potential new order, but at a steep cost to Iran's people. The coming days will be pivotal. International efforts to broker a ceasefire continue, but Israel's momentum and Iran's weakened state suggest a resolution is near, likely on Israel's terms. The regime's collapse could usher in a new era, but the transition risks plunging Iran into further chaos, with ordinary citizens paying the price. As the world watches, the truth emerges through credible reporting, not distorted narratives. Stay tuned for updates as this historic conflict reshapes the Middle East and beyond, with Iran's fate hanging in the balance.